We need to be content in the good circumstances, and we need to be content in the uncertain circumstances. Let me put this out there. Some of you guys have made decisions in your lives that went exceedingly well, and it's easy to be content with that. Others of us have made decisions or choices in our lives that have not gone as planned, and you need to be content in that. Like oftentimes I'll sit down with couples, and I'm sorry to always use a married couples example, but I think it's so relevant. And it's like, yeah, I married this person 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and we still have the same struggles. Okay, and I'm not content, I'm not happy in my marriage, but you were content then. What happened? You still need to be content today. The problem is we've not learned the secret sauce on how to be content. The contentment is based upon the dependency on our walk with Christ. To know, what did God say about my marriage? How can I put it into practice? How can I see how God's got a bigger purpose? And if it's just so bad, it's not even uncertain, that it's just a bad situation now, then we've got to trust in what he says in his word. And that is that he is still working all things together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. Like, even those things that are bad, that are falling apart, he can still bring them together. Remember, it is through Christ that we are content. And when his word says that he'll bring it all together, it is through him that we get content. Are you hearing me? Like, you won't get contentment through the bar. Like, you won't get contentment through the side chick. Too real, too fast? Too real, too fast? Like, go back for a second. No, okay, it's all right. See, I love Danny when he sits in the front, because Danny will encourage me to go past stuff that nobody should be going past. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate the support. Are you hearing me? Like, you won't get contentment in the vice. You won't get contentment through the avoidance. Just because you act like them three monkeys doesn't mean that the problem is going to go away. You're not going to be happy by ignoring the reality of something that was not properly built up to begin with. We need to learn to be content in Christ. That's the good news, guys. If you're here today, if you're online and you're hearing this message, the good news is that Christ is still available today for you to help you build up your life. The secret was the dependency. I feel like God gave me these phrases, these cool little phrases that you got to write down or tweet out or whatever you do with them. I don't care. But we got to be like Paul. We have to have faith in the place. Wherever you are, have faith in the place. Whatever you're believing for, have conviction in the position. What do I mean? Be convinced that where you are is where you need to be, where God has you. It might not be what you expected it or what you want it to be, but where you are, if God has you there, have conviction that it's right where you need to be. The timing is right on time. He didn't mess up. He didn't screw up. You're right where you need to be. Be content in all circumstances. Point number 2, be anxious for nothing. How many of you guys have heard that one before, right? Like, the whole series is on anxiety. Be anxious for nothing. For any of you guys who's been joining us for the last 2 years, since we're about to be 2 years, by the way, anniversary coming up on Easter in April. We went online for the first year brief history lesson. Throughout COVID 2020, we were online. Through 2021 came, we said, hey, let's get together. And we started getting together, figuring out who's part of the family, and that's great and all. And so we're about to hit 2 years. But our first series, if you've been with us from the beginning, was Unshaken. How many of you guys remember the Unshaken series? And one of the things we talked about in the Unshaken series was how to deal with anxiety. Okay, the word anxiety, okay, or anxiousness as it is stated here, okay, has to do with being troubled with too many cares, being distracted from what you need to be focused on, okay? And isn't that how it is? When we are anxious, is because we're troubled with too many cares. We're distracted from the thing that we need to be focused on. Is anybody like me in this regard, where I'll be at work and I seem to not be able to focus sometimes, okay? And it's usually because I've got too many things on my desk at the same time. too many emails to answer at the same time, too many phone calls to return at the same time. You guys understand what I'm saying? Too many text messages to return. Just too many things going on. And what happens? We get anxious because we're distracted by too many troubles. How do we avoid being anxious? The key is to shift off the troubles and back on the building. Getting back to the necessity. What's necessary? What's now? Now, this might sound common sense, but how many of us can understand that common sense ain't so common nowadays? Just look to the person next to you. No, don't do that. That's a joke. Don't do it. I so want to. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. You know what's funny? Because I stopped all of you guys from looking to the person next to you, but some of y'all were grilling the person in front of you really intently. Like, yeah, I know that one. Not there. Not all there. Sorry. If it's your first time at the family room, first time checking us out online, look, you just get what you get here and don't get upset. It is what it is. All right? We're just going to keep it real all the time. Philippians chapter 4, verse 4 to 7 says the following. It says, rejoice in the Lord when? Always. Well, that's an interesting concept. Like, I can be content when it's not time for joy. Yep. I can rejoice at all times. Yeah, guess what? It's possible. Just because you never lived it doesn't mean it's not possible. Rejoice in the Lord always, he says. And I'll say it again. Rejoice, because you didn't hear the first time. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And the peace of God will transcend all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. You want to learn how to enjoy the ride? Understand this. Stability in your life, building the proper foundation for your life, begins with rejoicing in the Lord always. If you always feel like you're distraught and anxious and all over the place, focus, start rejoicing in the Lord. How do we rejoice in the Lord? Hey guys, we can read, open up a Bible, right? Read it and give thanks for what it's saying. We can come to our worship experience on Sundays, and when they're up here singing and worshiping, sing with them. This ain't a show, this ain't a concert. Are you hearing me? Worship with them. I don't know the songs, Pastor. Okay. They're on the screen.